Hey guys, Titan Apprentice, welcome back to the channel. Today's video we are going to be testing out this Bridna 500 watt portable power station. Now this was the power station that we did last week's video on, and it was sent to us for review, but we are going to try to run 3 different items with it and show you guys how to change the charging mode, show you guys what it looks like plugged up to a solar panel, things like that. So there's 3 things that I want to try to run. Number 1 is my TV. I also want to go in my TV settings and change some of the settings to see if I can get a longer runtime out of this, if it really does save power switching modes. Number 2 is a fan. Now a fan during a power outage situation, it is not primary, it is not the end all be all, but at least it's moving air around, especially during the summertime. And the 3rd thing is a freezer. Now I'm still a little lost at the inverter size and what it can do, and if these are 500 watt per each one, or if these are 800 watt per each one, or if it's 800 total together. So if it can run the freezer, right, this changes the whole game, because if a unit of this size can run a freezer, it might drain the entire battery pack, but at least you could have food in your freezer for a longer period of time. But we're going to see. I don't even know if it will run it. I've got the Ecoflow Delta that normally sits there. I've got it out there as well, just to see if this won't do it, what will. Alright guys, so while the freezer is waiting to cool down and be ready for use, the first test I want to see is, will this thing run a TV? Now, is a TV important during a power outage situation? Not really, right? It's not one of those top 10, right? Food, water, fire, shelter, but it can be important, right? A TV with a news channel can provide you with information, it can provide you with entertainment, it can provide you with knowledge to say, hey, the bad storm is still going on, avoid these areas. So a TV might not be the top 10, but it can be kind of important. So we're going to see if it will run this TV. Now this is a big 75-inch TV. Yeah, not my first choice of power outage TVs, but it's what I have, and I don't have a 32-incher, so we get what we get. So automatically it is plugged up, right? This is the cord. Boom, right there. We're running 21 watts just to keep this little red light on and just to keep the internet on. That is a lot of power for standby juice. So one thing to remember is your devices still draw energy while you're not even using it, right? The TV's not on, and we're already drawing 21 watts, which has put this thing at 15 hours, right? We're at 98% on the unit just by drawing power. So remember, if you say, you know what, I'm just going to go to bed, don't worry about anything, I've got my TV plugged up, I'll watch it in the morning, throughout the night, this TV is going to kill off your battery. And just for it being on, we have 156 watts being outputted. What I want to do is I want to change the settings and see if it really does change and really does help save energy. So right here I'm on TV brightness. I know it kind of cuts off at the camera. That's as tall as I can get it. But we are at 150 watts at normal mode. So brighter, right, it's my highest setting. It jumps it up to 197 watts. So you go to 2.3 hours for a full battery. So an idea is that if you are wanting to watch a big TV on this power station, do not put it in the brightest setting. Now we've got a mode right here that says slightly dimmer to save energy, and then we have darker, right? For darker picture, for darker rooms, the darkest setting drops it all the way down to 111 watts, and that bumps the time up to 4 hours. So what does that tell you? That tells you that yes, dimming your TV screen will save energy, it will save power, as long as you can get by with watching it at a dimmer setting. Going from 200 watts all the way down to 100 watts is a big energy savings when you're talking about a unit that is 500 watt hours. You go from 2 hours of watching TV to now 4 hours of watching TV. So the dim mode is not a good idea, obviously, for tailgating games. So understand, if you take this big old TV that I have and you go put it in the back of your truck, you're getting 2 hours of watch time without any solar panels plugged up to it. So you might not be able to watch the pregame, but you can watch the game itself. Maybe 2 hours of it at least, and then you might have to plug it up. You can go to a dimmer setting and get 4 hours of your favorite football game, but a dark setting in a light environment is not a good combination. Alright guys, up next is going to be plugging up this fan. Again, a fan is not a primary thing of power outages, but at least you could move the air around. If you're in Puerto Rico for a year without power, you want to at least be able to move the air around. Now, my wife sleeps with a fan all the time, and I tell her that it's a waste of power, it's a waste of energy, it's a losing battle. So, we're going to see how much this fan uses and how long this power station can run it. So right now we are at 0 watts, of course, because the fan is turned off. And what we're going to do is we're going to start on low and work our way up. So at low, we are at a steady 64 watts. That gives us 6.5 hours of run time on this unit. We are at 96%, so you can add, you know, a couple points to it for 100%. But again, 63 watts. Now on low, it's not moving a lot of air. It's one of those things where you can probably feel it, but it's not pushing a lot of air, right? It's not cooling a lot down. So let's bump it up to high. So on high, we're at 82 watts, and it dropped it down to about 5.4 hours. So you are losing at least half an hour to maybe even an hour of runtime by running it on high. 82 from 63, 20 watts per hour. Again, 500 watt power station. It's not going to take a lot to drain this juice. Let's see if the oscillation has anything to do with burning extra power. So on high, and then we'll oscillate it. So surprisingly, oscillation has no effect on the wattage, right? It actually dropped it down to 81 watts. So apparently it uses a little bit less power. Now, of course, that number fluctuates a little bit. It goes from 81 to 84 to 82. But oscillation does nothing to affect the power. So what does this test tell you? You've got about 5 hours to 6.5 hours running a fan of this size. This isn't any special fan. It's probably a little dirty and needs cleaning. But 5 to 6 hours of runtime on this unit, that's not a lot. So if you're one of those people who sleeps with a fan on, you might not want to during a power outage if you've got this 500 watt power station. At least the good news is, by running this fan on low, if you did have the solar panel plugged up and you were getting pretty decent numbers, right, 60, 70, 80% off the solar panel, you wouldn't be using anything. So that's a good thing. So if you've got a bright, beautiful day out here, you can put the solar panel outside, get 70, 80 watts off of it, and then still run this fan on low at, what was it, 60 something watts, and basically do a pass-through charging, which is great. And then when the sun goes down, the fan goes off, because chances are it's going to be a little bit cooler when the sun starts going down. Now up next is going to be the biggest challenge for this unit. This is my chest freezer. I don't know the exact dimensions of it, but it's 3 foot by about a foot by about 3 foot tall, so I am sitting on my knee. It comes up to about my chest. Anyway, it has been unplugged for about 30-40 minutes. I don't know if this inverter is 500 max, you know, between the 3 of them, if it's 500 just for the one, I don't know. And again, there was one portion of the book that said 800 watts. So we're going to plug it up and see what it will do. And then we've got the Ecoflow Delta right below it. So I'm pretty sure we just overrode that system, because we are beeping. And this fan kicked on, it didn't do anything. Fan kicks off, it's still beeping. But we'll plug this up to the Delta and see how many watts it actually pulls, and tell you that that's kind of the maximum on the wattage. Alright, we got her plugged up in the back. Power the Delta on, and turn the back unit on. Ooh, it's spiked up to about 780. So that explains a lot. and now it's sitting about 135, 136. So that quick little spike up is what broke this Bridna, or at least overrode the system. So it did have a big spike there at the beginning, and then it cooled back down. So obviously it will not run a freezer of this size. Now if you get a smaller freezer or maybe a little mini fridge, it might do it. But a freezer that is 3 foot wide by 2 foot by 3 foot, not so much. So one thing I didn't show last week was the charging methods. If you have it charging and you hit this button right here, you can see right there it changes. So it goes from slow and changes to 0.4 hours. It goes to normal, and then it goes to fast or quick, and it goes down to 0.2. Alright guys, final reviews, final thoughts on the Bridna 500 watt portable power station. What do I like about it? What don't I like? What didn't I test on it? I did not test the solar panel that came with it because it's raining. Right? It's kind of hard to test solar panels in the rain. So I didn't test that. Shoot me. That's fine. It's whatever. I will be testing it, comparing it to another solar panel, and seeing just how well it does. Do I think it's going to work? Yes. Is it kind of hard to test solar panels when it's not bright outside? Yes. So I didn't test that. What do I like about it? The build. Yes, it is plastic. Oh my gosh, plastic's bad. Oh, plastic keeps the weight down. If this was full metal, it would be easily 70, 80, 90 pounds. But right now, it's what? 10 pounds, 15 pounds. So it's not bad. Going over the build again, flat top, you can put things on here. They don't recommend it. I get it. Safety. Darwinism. I get that. But you can put your phone on here. You could put a little desk fan on here, a little lamp, right? And plug it directly up. The light on the back, I'd still like. I think it's probably one of my favorite features on these units themselves. And then the front. So 3 plug-ins does not sound like a lot. But again, you're talking 500 watt hours, so you're not outputting a lot neither. 3 is a good number. You can plug a fan, you can plug a TV, and then one more item. But the thing I do like is you've got all 4 cell phone chargers over here. So your cell phone itself, right, the cell phone plug is not wasted on one of these ports. And to me, that's kind of smart. And I know a lot of companies and portable power stations that are doing that. And to me, that's just moving it forward, right? Because now you open up one of these, instead of having your phone plugged up all the time, you open up one of these ports to throw your phone over here. The LCD display or LED display, bright, nice and bright, what it tells you and how it tells you what's on, what's not on, I'm good with, right? You being able to change the speed of its charging. I think of Lebanon, I think of Venezuela, I think of Puerto Rico, I think of these countries that are going through just terrible times. You might have 2 to 3 hours worth of power per day and then power shuts off. Well, shoot, what are you going to do if this thing takes 8 hours to charge and you only have 2 hours? Well, you put it on fast mode, right? And so I like having that option. It does come with the solar panel. And as we know, some companies are selling solar panels for $300, $400, $500 by themselves. So being able to pick up a unit plus a solar panel, and I think their bigger one comes with a solar panel as well, maybe even their smaller one. 500 watts is basically the bare minimum I would go. I do have a 300 watter from Jackery or from Rock Pals. That kind of was a waste of money, right? 300 watts is basically your cell phone and nothing else. 500 watts, you can at least do a TV, you can do a fan, you can do smaller, less important devices. I can run my light, I can run my camera, I can run these devices that aren't primary use, but would be semi-beneficial, right? And that's why I plugged it up to a freezer. Because if it could have ran the freezer, it could have elevated it. It could have went up a step above and been that much better. Now, was I expecting it to run another freezer? Not really, right? I didn't know how much a freezer pulled, but apparently it's almost 1,000 watts. This is a 500 watt with an 800 watt inverter. Yeah, not going to happen, right? I do like the fact that it kicked off without draining the battery. And that's one thing that I see some of them do. They'll mess up the battery, or they'll mess up the internal components, and if you override that system, it shuts down. I don't know how much energy will actually be outputted, right? I don't have a watt meter reader thing where I can test, and that little thing that Hobotech has where he can turn the volts and the amps and this and that and the other up. I don't have that, right? So this is not one of those reviews. But what do I know? I know it'll run a fan, I know it'll run a TV, and I know it will plug up all of my small electronics and run them. So I said that this was probably a weekender slash tailgater unit. Tailgating, dependent on what size TV you bring and depending on the weather. My big 75 inch TV, whatever it is, took 200 watts, which means if I'm sitting at a tailgate watching my big TV on bright because it's very bright outside, yes, I have the solar panel plugged up and it's drawing 100 watts, but I'm still using 200 watts to power that TV. But if I took like a little 40-inch TV, I would expect that number to be lower, right? So maybe I'm inputting 100 watts from the solar panel, but I'm also only outputting 100 watts from the TV. Tailgater, yeah, it's probably that. I don't have a 32-inch TV to test, but I'm sure it could get by, because if it can run the big TV for 2 to 4 hours, it can run a smaller TV probably for 4 to 8 hours. And especially if you throw that solar panel in, it's a nice bright day, right? You're intaking as you're outtaking, you shouldn't have a lot of problems with it. But it is a weekender, small device, portable power station, okay? Weekender. Weekend power outage, you want to plug up your phones, you want to plug up your kids' little iPads, iPods, Nintendo DS's, whatever they have. Your smaller devices, okay, is what this thing's perfect for. 500 watt hours is a weekender. Just running a cell phone, running your kids' game systems during a weekend power outage in an apartment building, perfect, right? No problems. Trying to buy this and say I'm going to run my whole home with it, it's not what it's for. So again, there are links down below. There are discount codes probably on the screen. Go save some money if you want to buy one. I appreciate Brenda for sending me this out, and I look forward to maybe working with you guys again. They were a great company to work with. So that's all I got for today's video. Y'all let me know, is 500 watts enough, or do you want more and more? Let me know down below. That's all I got. T2 out.